Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today's topic is going to be talking about Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft and why it worries me a little bit. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So now that we got that cleared, let's get into today's topic. So Daniel Jeremiah, he writes for NFL.com, and he came out with his mock draft, and he is known as one of the more accurate mock drafters. Last year, he predicted the Jets would take Quinnen Williams. He said that way before free agency. He said it after free agency. And who did they take? Quinnen Williams. Now, I'm not saying they're guaranteed to take this guy, whoever he is saying to the Jets are going to select, but at the end of the day, he has a pretty good idea. That's the point that I wanted to put out there. And I just wanted to put my reaction into who he thinks the Jets are going to take. And he says they're going to take K'Lavon Chaisson, a LSU edge rusher. Obviously, he's on the defensive side, which is already a red flag to me. He had 6.5 sacks in 13 games this year, which is pretty solid. It's okay. It's not anything crazy. He missed 2 games, and last year, he barely played because he tore his ACL. So I am very worried right from the get-go. Not even getting into that he's a defender, not even getting to the position that he plays. I am worried because he is somebody who is coming off an injury, an ACL tear, and then someone who missed a couple of games this year. I don't want to take any injury-prone players. They took D. Milner, who had injury problems in 2013, and we know how that pick panned out. It didn't. Now, I'm not saying that he is not an interesting prospect. He has really good speed. He's an edge rusher who could even cover tight ends. You rarely ever see that. And he's quick coming off the ball. That's what the Jets could potentially use. I'm not saying they don't need an edge rusher. I'm saying you can't take a defensive player in the first round in this draft. You just can't. Out of the Jets' 10 most recent first-round draft picks, 9 of them have been on the defensive side of the ball. You want to go to the last 15 first-round draft picks? 12 of them have been on the defensive side of the ball. The exceptions, Sam Darnold, Mark Sanchez, Dustin Keller. Those are your 3. Now, in Jeremiah's mock draft, by the time the Jets are picking, the 4 top offensive linemen are off the board. Now, usually if you watch my mock draft from yesterday, you notice that the 3 top offensive linemen were off the board, so I went with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was available. Jerry Jeudy was available. I would have been fine with either selection. Even, I know he's not going to do this in the mock draft. I'm probably going to do this later on, but if that's the situation, I might want to trade back because the next tackle that went was Austin Jackson, who was taken 26th by the Miami Dolphins in his mock draft. So if there's a big drop-off in talent where you can move back, I don't know, if you're in the Jets' 10 spots and still potentially draft an offensive lineman in the first round and get more picks in the process, I would think about doing that. But if you're staying at 11 and that's the way the board breaks, I think you got to go with one of either Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. I don't think you can sit here and take an edge rusher. As much as I've been yelling and screaming about the Jets not having an edge rusher, you can't go defense. The key of this draft has to be getting as much help for Sam Darnold as humanly possible. You also might be without Robbie Anderson, who could potentially get $13+ million on the open market. I think the Jets should pay that and bring him back, but there is a chance that you don't. So theoretically, in this world, would you be okay with Robbie Anderson walking and then the Jets taking another defensive player? I know I wouldn't be. Last year, even with their lack of edge rush and with their cornerback issue, so I'm not saying the Jets have a perfect defense, but they were the 10th ranked defense in terms of DVOA. 10th. You can win in this league with a top 10 defense. What you can't win with? A 31st ranked offense. That's what the Jets were, 31st in offensive DVOA. You cannot win in this league with the 31st ranked offense. You need to put a lot of allocations of resources into the offense in this year's draft and in free agency. You need to revamp the offensive line. You need to get skill position players in here. They need a lot of work. Defense is good. You've drafted defense 9 of the last 10 first rounders, Sam Darnold being the exception. Help Sam Darnold. Help him out. Since you have drafted Sam Darnold, you've only taken 3 offensive players in the entire draft after that. Trenton Cannon, who's basically a special teamer. Chuma Adoga, who is a borderline starter, most likely, I would say, a backup. And Trayvon Wesco. And Chris Herndon, too. The moral of the story, help Sam Darnold. Please don't take an edge rusher. Don't take anyone on the defensive side of the football until at least the third round. First two picks, in a perfect world, your first two picks are offensive line, wide receiver, or offensive line, offensive line. That's what you should be coming away with in this draft. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you be okay if the Jets went defense in round one? Is my reaction to this mock draft fair? I'm not saying Daniel Jeremiah is wrong. I just don't agree with the logic that if the Jets did that, I think it would be a dumb move. Let me know what you think and if my reaction was fair. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll talk to you next time.